What is going on, YouTube? Today I'm going to teach you how to Cody. If you're just here for the tips on how to get over the fear of Cody, go to the timestamp right here. Other than that, let me show you how to Cody. Now the way you're going to want to start out to do the Cody is to be able to land on your stomach. So this is as simple as just tucking your knees in and putting them behind you. This will allow you to land on your stomach like this. Now as you noticed, I had my arms like this and my knees bent at a 90-degree angle. This is going to be important later when you are actually setting for the flip and trying to get over your head. So again, make sure you have both arms right here, right in front of your nose, and your knees bent at a 90-degree angle. This is so you can kick them out in order to get rotation while you're bouncing. Now after you get landing on your stomach down, you're going to want to try to go from your stomach to your back or from your stomach to your feet. You can do this by kicking your knees out from that 90-degree angle to a flat 180-degree angle, and that will give you rotation to get to your back or your feet, like this. Now once you start doing this, you can see why a Cody would be so hard. It's not very easy to get rotation just using your knees, but it is how it's done. Now there's one other way to get rotation, and that is by backflipping into it. This gives you extra momentum going onto your stomach, which gives you more momentum for rotation in the flip. Just like this. Now this may be scary at first, but it is usually the best way to get rotation for a Cody. Now that there is the first progression of doing the Cody. You're going over your shoulder, sometimes even spinning more than flipping. It'll help you get into the feel of how the Cody is. The next progression step is to try to go more vertical, do more flip and less spin. This will help you get closer towards going straight over your head instead of having to put a hand down. After this, you're going to want to try to do the same thing as before, but this time take out your hand. This will get you into the feeling of going over your head. Also, when you're doing these rotations, try to turn your head to look at the landing. That'll get your body to go where it needs to be. The next step after this is, sadly, you just have to send it, but there are some tips on how to get over the fear. Now I struggled for this trick for 2 years. I just could not find a way to get over my head. But now that I've done it, I can see that it is very easy, and there is a little bit of send, but there's also a lot of technique that goes into going over your head without fear. Now in order to get over the fear of Cody, you have to understand why it is so scary, and that reason I will get to right here. Now the reason why a Cody is so scary is because of how far you have to go in order to rotate over your head. For something like a backflip, like I'm representing here, you only have to go 180 degrees and then 90 degrees more, 270 degrees of rotation. Not that bad. But for something like a Cody, that is a lot harder because you have to do 360 degrees of rotation to get over your head. As you can see, 180 degrees get you to your back, and then 180 more degrees, and that'll finally get you over your head. This, in essence, is why the Cody is so scary, because you have to go over your head so late in the flip at around 270 degrees of rotation, and you still have to do 360 degrees of rotation just to make the flip around. This is why it's so scary and why it is so hard to rotate as well. And if you want to land it, you have to do even more, 450 degrees of rotation, because you have to do a backflip and a quarter in order to make it over to your feet. This is why it is so scary and hard. Now you know why the Cody is scary. Here are the tips that can help you deal with this. The first tip I have is you want to start low, do a low backflip into a low Cody, and try to get over your head. If you neck, it won't hurt that bad. But the best way to get over your head is instead of looking at where you took off, you want to look back at where you're going to land. This is going to get your body to come around in order to do the Cody. As you can see there, I looked at my landing and it got my body to come over. Now it may not be that easy for you. It may take more progressive steps, but you can also try doing that same thing over your shoulder. Another tip, and this is more mental, is to not overthink it. Whenever I was doing it, I was thinking of all the things that I have to do. When in reality, you can do a Cody off of basically anything, as long as you swing your leg. This is harder to get through your head, but it will help a lot if all you're thinking about is just getting over your head. all thoughts of fear and external doubt and stuff like that will go away, and eventually it'll just get over your head. Now this might not work for you, but that's why there's other tips. Now for me, after I couldn't do Cody for about a year, I just quit. I didn't want to have anything to do with Cody. But then one day, it was actually at night, it was at like midnight, I came out onto the trampoline at 12 p.m. and I ended up doing a Cody. The reason why I did this is because I took that break. I had a clear mind. If you don't get it in the first few days, just give it a break and come back to it later. Once your fear tolerance has gone up, maybe you've done other tricks like a dub kaboom, you may be able to come back with more experience and able to do it. I know you don't want to hear that, you want to be able to do it now, but sadly that is the truth, that sometimes you just have to take a break, and then once you come back, you'll be able to do it. That was the exact case for me. Now none of these tips are guaranteed to work. Sometimes, at some point, you are eventually going to just have to send it, and this is hard for some people, mainly most people like me, and we don't want to hear that. I didn't want to hear that when I was learning, but there is a point when you have to send it. But by using these tips, you can reduce the amount of send that you have to put into your first Cody. And also, the Cody is like any other trick. It's also like riding a bicycle. Once you do it once, you'll have it for the rest of your life. There's not much relearning to be done. It's not a very technical trick. So if you haven't done tramp for like 4 or 5 years, you come back, you should be able to Cody as long as you've gotten over the fear once. So that's something to keep in mind while you're battling with Cody. Well, now that you've gotten over the fear and you've gotten over your head, that is great. If you haven't yet, take a break, keep trying, use some of the tips that I mentioned earlier, but once you have gotten over your head, come back to this video. Now Cody, the same reason why it is scary is also why it's hard to land. You are not doing 1 full rotation, you are actually doing 1 1/4 rotations. And off of your stomach, you're not conserving as much balance as you would for per se a backflip. So it is very hard to pull all the way around to your feet. So the main thing you want to do is snap your legs down and then bring your knees to your chest for your tuck. As you can see there, I snapped out my legs and it gave me the rotation that I needed. But that only gave me the rotation that I needed in the first part of the flip. The second part of the flip is all based on your tuck. Now, for a tuck, anything where you grab your legs tight will work for a single Cody. If you are really struggling with the rotation, you can spread your legs out, put your knees out to the side, and point your feet up and out, and grab around like right in the middle of your shins, and pull outwards. This will make you as small as you possibly can be, which will give you a lot of rotation. I'll do a Cody facing the camera so you guys can see the tuck that I do. As you can see here, I'm grabbing the middle of my shins, pulling my legs out, and pointing my toes outwards. Now the third part of the trick, which is landing it, is one of the easiest. If you've landed a backflip, kaboom, anything else before, it's pretty much the same. You're gonna wanna look at the landing, untuck, and put your legs down. As you can see there, I shot my legs out of the tuck and slammed them into the trampoline, which let me land the Cody. And once you have it, start practicing. You can do many things with a Cody. It's kind of like a kaboom. You can do different combos with it, like this. You can also chain Codys, and one tip for chaining Codys is untuck earlier than you think you need to, because scorpioning is not fun. But that looks something like this. Now learning the Cody is very hard. You're gonna have to take breaks, and at some point you're just gonna have to send it. But once you learn it, it is a very fun trick that can be used in many trick combos with various other tricks. That's about all I have. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like, comment if you want any other tutorials like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.